Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. We're pleased to be joined by the boys basketball coach at Canton High School. Of course, that's Jimmy Reddy. How's it going?
Doing well. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, of course, going into, all your team is selected and everything there. And of course, I know you do lose some big guys with Lake and Cole, but overall, you have a solid team coming back.
We like our team. I think, again, like you said, losing someone of Cole's magnitude at both ends of the floor, plus his leadership, and then losing Lake McIntosh in terms of his ability to kind of run the team and score and defend. Obviously those are big losses for us. But we lost Cole last year and had to play without him the last, I think, 6 games.
Yeah.
He got hurt in game 16 right at the beginning, and then Heartland game. So, we have the returning guys have experience with playing without him. And that really obviously was a blow to our team last year and how we finished. But helpful to, some of those juniors like Omar Suleiman and Dante Favor last year to kind of, now they got to carry the load. And it helped the transition from them from the end of their junior year into the summer, and then now obviously into the fall. And Omar, Omar got a full ride scholarship to Lake Superior State and already signed 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. And Dante's got a bunch of options in terms of college. So those guys obviously be the catalyst for us this year. And I love their flexibility. Omar and Dante can both bring the ball, and which is unique for, Omar's 6'4.5", 6'5", and Dante's a legitimate 6'7", 6'8", and they're multifaceted guys offensively, which really helps our team.
Yeah. Okay. So you kind of mentioned going into my next question, but talk about some of the guys that are coming back, as you just mentioned a few of them, but overall, yeah. And also some of the guys to watch.
Yeah. So obviously Omar and Dante, and because Omar's been a 3-year varsity player. Dante was up a little bit and down a little bit on JV and varsity as a sophomore. So he's kind of a 3-year guy. But started every game for us last year as the junior. Caleb Williams, who, big time football guy, he's a 3-sport guy, 3-sport
Yep.
varsity athlete. He's in his 3rd year on the varsity with us. And when we got done with practice Wednesday, I turned to Bob Bloom, my assistant and the Hall of Famer. I go, Caleb was the best kid in practice today. And he just looks so much more put together. He's stronger, he's more mature, and obviously a lot changes from freshman to junior year, but I'm excited about Caleb's progress. And he hasn't, his progress without really touching a basketball, right? So he's been at football and doing all that. So that's exciting. G Walker is a returner for us last year. He played a little sparingly off the bench, but he's a long, he's 6'4", and he's a long guy that can impact the game at the defensive end, rebounding and finishing around the rim. We love Devon Pettis, who had a great year on the football field for us. He's a yes, sir. Do what you ask him, run through a brick wall. He helped us last year as a 10th grader, and he's going to be a starter for us this year and a key factor at both ends for us for sure. And then Bradley Azuka, who was he was a 5-quarter guy. That new rule that went into effect. So he played on the JV every game, and then he dressed with us, and he'd get in, here and there, depending on the game and the situation, but he practiced with us last year, all 63 practices, which really helped him because in the summer, he really made a huge jump from the season last year to the summer. And we're excited about Bradley's progress as a junior as well. So those are our 6 returners, and they bring a lot of, they're all multifaceted guys. A lot of them can bring the ball and do different things and play inside out. So we're excited about the all the different things that those guys bring to the table for us for sure.
Yeah. So going into, let's talk about your team for a second. What overall, I don't know if you've seen them in scrimmages or not, or I know you just put the team together, but overall, right. What do you overall impressions of so far before we get into, I know that there is some scrimmages next week before we get into games.
Yeah, we're hosting a scrimmage. I think 18 teams are coming to our place on the 3rd of December. So we'll get a better idea obviously then, but We played in a fall league, but that was the guys that weren't playing a fall sport. So it's tough to tell, what you're actually going to look like. But, the guys that were playing, I liked what we saw. I think we have an inside presence with Dante Favor. We have other guys that can score and score inside, like Devon Pettis. Bradley Azuka, actually, if a smaller guy guards him, he can score inside. Omar Suleiman's inside out. So we've got a bunch of guys that are inside out that allows you to score in different ways. So I don't want to, last year we relied a lot on Cole and Lake, right? So it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a catch-22, but now this year we've got different ways we can score, and we've got multiple players that can score. So it's more difficult, I feel like, to defend us this year than it has been the last 2 years when it's kind of been heavy Cole and Lake. So I love our flexibility on the offensive end. I like that our guys like to play defense, and we love rebounding. Obviously, that's been a pillar of our program since I've been the head coach for 14 years. We love, defending and rebounding. We feel like if we dominate defensively and we're +6 or more in the margin on the rebounding, we're going to win. So our guys are buying into that, and they have an attitude of that. So I think that allows us, to be hard to beat, and it allows us to play different ways too, because I think we are long, and we have some athleticism that allows us to play good man-to-man defense, as well as maybe mixing some zone too.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about the league for a second. The West is the West, and it's going to be from top to bottom. I've been talking to everybody, and there's really not a favorite for the West Division this year. Kind of talk about what the divisions you think's on your side of the division of what it's going to look
like. Again, I think every year since it's been realigned like this,
right,
has been very competitive. Even though in the first few years it was just really us and Howell winning it, it's been competitive, right? And then last year, again, very competitive. We won it. We didn't lose a game in the division, which is super hard to do in this kind of division.
Yeah.
And our team actually, I don't think our team got enough credit for doing something like that, especially with Cole getting hurt at the end there. And then, Heartland obviously that's how competitive the league was. Our side of the league, I should say, was us not losing a game through the whole league, 14-0, and then playing Heartland in the conference championship and then them beating us. So it's just it's an underrated league, our side of the division specifically, and it's going to be a grind again this year. You're going to have to, if you're not ready to go on Tuesday and Friday once the league starts January 6th, you're going to lose. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Home or away, if you're not ready to play and compete, you're going to lose, because the league is that competitive.
Yeah, and the park games are just going to be as much competitive, including, of course, obviously the biggest change, obviously the big coaching news in your division is your JV coach is now the head coach at Plymouth, of course, taking over for Mike Sukup, of course, who's doing his own thing now and is doing pretty good.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's going to be a different dynamic for us. Obviously, it's unique for me because Andrew was our JV coach for the last 3 years, and he was on staff. He was the freshman coach the year before that. So he was on staff with us for 4 years. And he did a lot for us. I mean, he was, besides coaching his team, he was doing a lot for our varsity program as well in terms of film and stats and being he was at a ton of varsity practices. So we're going to miss Andrew in that facet. And I know he's going to do a good job with the Plymouth program, and those games are going to be, obviously rivalry games already are hard, but now it's different. Now it's a different dynamic with Andrew coaching that team. Andrew and I actually teach in the same building in South Lyon at Centennial Middle School. So that's also kind of a unique dynamic to it as well. So we'll play on Tuesday night, and then we'll see each other at work on Wednesday morning. So that's kind of strange, but he's going to do well, and those games are going to be competitive. I mean, the park games, Salem's bringing back a lot, Plymouth's bringing back a lot, and I really like our team. So those will be some kind of competitive games this year for sure.
The rest of the division is just as loaded too. So let's talk about the first few games before we get to conference play, beginning of 23. But overall, who do you guys got in the December slate?
we're loaded. You know what? We're loaded up again. I think we've been doing it. That's been a philosophy of mine that when I was a younger level coach working boys and girls at Canton under Bob Bloom and Brian Samolsky, their philosophy was always let's play a killer non-league schedule to get ready for the league. And we've been doing that for the most part. Every year I've been the head coach, and last year was difficult, and we didn't, we had a chance to beat Hamtramck and Renaissance, and we really didn't, we were competing with De La Salle and Orchard Lake, but didn't, and we're started 0-4, and but it got us ready for the league. You go 14-0, like we just said earlier about, in this division, it's hard to do. It's really hard to do. So those non-league games got us ready last year. So this year we've loaded up again. We're opening up at Traverse City, St. Francis on the 10th. We're going up there and staying 2 nights and trying to build some chemistry with our team that way, and also play a good opponent in Traverse City, St. Francis. And then we're going to Hamtramck the next Tuesday. And then we're going to Northville Showcase that following Saturday, the 17th. We're playing Cass Tech. And I got to tell you, Cass Tech, I did not see De La Salle play this summer, so they're probably the best. But I out of the teams I saw play live this summer, Cass Tech was the best. So that's going to be a tremendous challenge for us at Northville Showcase on the 17th. And then we've got our crossover, the league crossover game. They just matched up 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2 based on how you finished last year. And so we're going to Belleville, which will be another really good test in that crossover. And then on the 22nd, we are going to Ann Arbor, or no, we're going to Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan's hosting the showcase. We're playing Ann Arbor Huron at 8:00 at night on the 22nd. So that'll be another good game. And then over Christmas break, we're going to the Motor City on the 27th at Ferndale, and we're playing Walled Lake Western, who's always, competitive. And then on the 29th, we're going to North Farmington's holiday extravaganza, and we're playing UAD Jesuit, who's obviously always very good.
Yep.
So those are the 7 games, obviously 6 non-league, and then the crossover with Belleville. But we're loaded up, and we'll have a good idea where we're at when we get done on December 29th.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited there. All right, Jimmy, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us, and best of luck this season.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Casey. Thanks for having me. Take care.